And we are live. What's up, everybody? Kevin from Blue
Hey.
Skies.
Hi, I'm Janella at Blue Skies. Just hanging out for a couple of minutes. We'll have Keith Kalfas on with us tonight. But Kevin, where are we going this week?
Going to huge convention. Super excited about it. It's going to be a
Is this,
great time.
is this your second year?
It'll be my second year going. Last year was super fun and overwhelming. And for people that don't know, I think everybody that was there at least knew that we had a giant sledgehammer and a giant, what's it called? Now I can think of the name of it.
Hi, Striker.
A high striker, and it was huge and metal and old school, and it was super loud. And we got in a little bit of trouble over having the, the loudest booth in the convention.
I wouldn't say trouble. I would just say we were noted.
That's right.
Yeah, we were noticed, and
right.
there were appropriate times that we could use our Striker, and it was heckin' fun.
Yeah, it was definitely a
And
draw.
it was cool to see, especially it was the old fashioned kind of them. So like now there's the light up ones and some that you can like set the hardness or easiness level on them. And it was fun to see people compete for that because there are some very strong guys down there and gals. And they had to work for it. And I think was 9 the highest we got. I don't think anybody rang the bell.
No one rang the bell. And I think only one person hit a 9. Everybody else was like 6, 7. Like it was not the easy high striker to like achieve like greatness on.
No, you definitely had some chops and a claim to fame if you were hitting it.
Which
So that was
increased
fun.
the amount of noise coming from it because we were really trying to hammer away on it to get to that higher level.
It was fun. I don't think I ever even picked up the hammer because when I saw those other guys, I was like, if you cannot do it after a job of physical landscaping for 10 years, like there's no way. This is gonna hurt myself.
It was a legit like sledgehammer too. Like it was not like playing around. Like it was a heavy like mallet of high striker hammers. Like it was the real deal.
Yeah. I mean, I always say there's a lot of great bookkeeping companies out there that can do a good job like Blue Skies does. You're not going to have more fun with any other bookkeepers.
That's
So
right.
I'm just going to throw that out there. We'll do a good job on the bookkeeping and have a solid time together.
That's right. And we'll still have the arrows, and the arrows are a giant hit. So come shoot some arrows if you're coming back this year. Stop by the booth, say hey, bring your friends.
Yeah, come to my geeky talk about cost of goods sold. Who wouldn't love to do that? I always have candy.
Yeah.
So
we always have goodies, and it's always a good time. So we're excited to go back to Huge again this year, my second year. Janelle, how many years have you been?
This is only my third year, so I'm still kind of new in the Huge world, but I know enough to expect it to be awesome.
Yeah.
My first year, I kind of had, I feel bad saying this, a sense of dread about it because I just didn't think I was going to take anything away from it. I didn't think it was my space, and I learned so much. The speakers were phenomenal and inspiring for anyone. I came home, I was telling everybody about it, showing my kids all these videos. It was good. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Speaking of Huge, we have a huge person in the landscaping space that's on now. Let me add him up here. I'm seeing how his video works. It's the Keith Kalfas. So can you hear us, Keith? Oh, he's adding back another way. Hold on, remove, add. There he is. It is the Keith Kalfas.
Can you hear me?
Kalfas.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Hear you.
Okay, so, sorry, I've been on back-to-back phone calls and Zoom calls for 4 hours straight, and I haven't had like a sip of water or anything, so you have to give me like 60 seconds.
Yeah, do it.
This is my cue to drink some water as well. So
that's funny. I have been trying to drink more water lately too, and so I've been filling up my I don't have a Stanley, I'm not cool. I have my frugal old Contigo from years ago, and I noticed my kids have been drinking way more water because it's still empty all the time whenever I go to get a drink. Like I fill it, the kids drink it, I go to get a drink, nothing.
There's something about Mom's Stanley cup that like has special powers that the kids want to drink more water from your cup, not theirs.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if I need a Camelback strapped to me. They'll probably just come get the straw is my guess. So I don't know. But anyways, I feel good that Keith took time to come hang out with us.
Yeah,
he is also gearing up for huge. And I know what those back-to-back days are like. Hi, Keith.
Hello.
If you got to do 4 hours, you might as well do hour 4 with Janelle and Kevin because it's going to be a good time.
How many more hours tonight?
Wednesday is my podcast night.
So you're all over it. Well, thanks for coming on. I'm Janelle. This is Kevin. It's kind of weird to get to see you face to face and get to actually talk to you because I've been at Blue Skies a long time, and I know we've been taking care of your books for a long time, but we do such a good job. I haven't really had to cross paths with you yet, so that's kind of cool.
Well, nice to meet you.
You too. Yeah. You excited about the huge this week?
I'm not attending.
You're not attending? I thought I heard you were going to be down there. Oh, you're a busy guy. Well, we'll be down there, so we'll cover for you. Let you know what was exciting.
I was there the year before last year. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was there that year too. It's a beautiful place. We're excited about it, but so that's what's top of mind for us.
African place, it's like gigantic.
Yeah, it's huge, and
it's the same place, right?
It's gorgeous. Wow. Yep, at the Gaylord. You have to come back sometime.
It's literally the huge convention. Like it's in a huge place, and there's huge things all over the place. I would say the thing from last year I remember the most was they have these giant, my brain's not working right now, but the giant things that fly and do the pressure washing for you. What are those called? Drones. The drones.
Oh yeah, the drone show.
That was giant drones. And then they had a lawnmower that was like a riding lawnmower, but it was a pressure washer. So like the whole bottom of the riding lawnmower was a pressure washer where you just drove over the driveway and like pressure washed. And I was like, they got cool stuff here. Like this is a cool like thing that's going on.
They do. They also had the machine gun, pressure washers, and they got in a little bit of trouble for those.
Oh, you can't talk about those.
No. I shouldn't be bringing that up. I apologize. Well, anyway,
I saw that before.
Yeah, they're fun. You can't really be handing those out and walking around in resorts with them. It makes people nervous. Even in Tennessee, I guess. I'm from South Dakota, so that's kind of expected. Like, no problem. Everybody's armed. Anyways, well, I was listening to some of your content, Keith. I love your content, and I hear it here and there in snippets. We, in the home service space, I try to follow all kinds of guys, and I was nervous today. I was like, oh, it's the Keith Kalfas. And then the more I listen to your stuff, I'm just like, you are our guy. You have such practical, solid content for business owners who are getting started, and it aligns so well with the bookkeeping that we do and how we try to just like get really solid, practical tools in everybody's hands so they can really see where their business is at. So I love our partnership, and you're always sending people our way. So can I ask you some questions about some stuff I was listening to? I went all the way back to your money system that changed your life forever.
Yes.
And your tons of bank accounts. And it was so good just to hear another perspective. We get a lot of people who come to us and are doing profit first, or there's like the medium of profit first, and then all my finances are jumbled together, personal, professional, anything that I could possibly have going on. So I loved that you just had such practical stuff there. But in that, my biggest takeaways were your winter savings account.
Yeah.
I loved that. And I was like, why isn't everybody in the home service space saying that to our clients right now? Because they're at the place where money's coming in, things are going great. Say more about that. Like what begot your winter savings account? Did anything happen to you that you just were like, I'm going to put money away for that? Was it what triggered that for you when you started doing it?
Well, what triggered it was that I wasn't doing it because I
Yeah.
thought that I didn't have I couldn't afford to do it. It was a long time ago when I started my business. When I first got married, we were in a 1-bedroom apartment, broke. Um, that's when I started the window cleaning business in freezing winter. I was bucket Bob going door to door trying to pay my rent, literally.
Yeah.
And so spring broke, and it, by basically it takes until about August to get some money in the bank after all the
Hmm.
spring stuff. And then winter came and I was broke again. I go, what the heck is going on? So this was, I read a book by Mark Victor Hansen called, I think it was Cash in a Flash.
Okay.
Him and Jack Canfield wrote these kind of chicken soup for the soul books. But he wrote a book about, it's about making money. And it was this consciousness stuff about extreme frugality. And then I started listening to like Dave Ramsey and Kevin Trudeau, debt cures
Hmm.
they don't want you to know about, and the envelope system. I said, you know what? Uh, Back then, before I was fully legit and I was also collecting cash, I just got a bunch of envelopes and I was like, I just wrote like energy bill, this, that, rent, this. And I would
Yeah.
come home from cleaning windows and I would put little bits of cash into each envelope. And so it's like what you track grows, what you
Hmm.
resist persists, and if you track something, whatever type of metric, it'll actually start to grow. And it's a fundamental law. And I watch it start happening. So by springtime, I had enough money to call up an accountant and go get an LLC that we taxed as an S corp, and then I was able to call the insurance company, get general liability, and I was able to start doing these things. And I was like, it's only April. I need to create a winter savings account and pretend, because the previous nothing is more painful, I believe, than to have a Christmas tree with no presents under it because
Yeah.
you don't have any money. That pain was so driving to me that I said, I'm going to pretend it's December 1st right now, even though it's still springtime, and I'm going to run like my hair's on fire. I'll cut off all communication with anybody unless it's my wife. I'll be in hyper communication with my wife that I got to do everything to do to get this business off the ground. I'm trying to make this short, but I'll tell you why. And so I just worked about 90 hours a week, and I pretended that it was an emergency. And so by the time the winter came, I literally had worked enough and saved enough, even though my prices were incredibly low. It was enough to get me all the way to like April 1st of the next year. And
Yeah.
so I did that again, and by the second year, and I only had saved like $6,000 back then when rent was super cheap, groceries were cheap. And then so I really started crunching the math. I'm like, how much plus to get out of the hole and to pay year-end tax and this? I'm like, it's going to be like 16 grand. Then I was like, then I was going to be like 34 grand. And I was able to save like 31,000. And then I started crunching all the math. I became obsessed with math, and I got like these big sketch pads and a calculator, and I would
Yeah.
whatever worked for me until it felt right. I realized that, oh, here's the big epiphany. The winter savings account, here's the goal. When winter comes, let's see how far we can go without ever having to touch the winter savings account.
Yeah. So it gamified a little bit.
Yeah, it becomes gamified.
Yeah.
So I noticed that I literally didn't have to touch the winter savings account at all until like literally the following April. And I think it just had to take a couple grand out of it once because my when accounts were getting low. And now I haven't had to touch my winter savings account years, probably like maybe 5 years now. And so I set a certain number, and then once it's there, it kind of just sits there in an account. And then kind of like storing up grain, I created an account. Oh, it's called the home repair savings account.
Yep. I heard you say that too. I thought that was super smart.
So but there's a certain number there, and if it's a hit it, I stop there. There's a certain amount, and it's saving to invest in like a property, like an Airbnb. We might do something here, and then once it hit that number, I stopped. And so it's like once you start hitting these accounts, then I started to become incredibly depressed because I realized that my whole life was just running in fear mode and running in survival mode.
Yep.
For like the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight.
Yep.
And so when I finally got completely out of debt, and I have like an 862 credit score, and we got money in the bank, and we're more comfortable, and like I realized my goals were way too small. I had gotten out of survival mode, and now I'm depressed because my priorities were messed up. They weren't based off God's will for my life. They were just based off of survival. And then I beat myself up for feeling depressed, and now I just want to go to the next. I just gave you way too long of an answer here.
No, not at all. I kind of thought that might open a rabbit hole. I love that you're so practical about it. Just get some envelopes and start. Like, just start. You don't need a big fancy system. You don't have to have all the bank accounts yet. That's so practical, and it is fitting for a lot of the clients that come our way that are listening to podcasts and trying to figure out how to run their business. So that's great advice. And I don't hear our clients very often at all talk about a winter savings account. Some of them are a little further along and are doing the budgets and planning in that direction. But if you're not there yet, just doing a winter savings account is brilliant. So I love that idea. I also really love that you talked about your wife and you just reference her all the time in your business. I don't know you guys at all. I don't know what your relationship is like, but it feels like you really involve her in the business and share on the finances. And I love hearing that because from our clients, it can really be a stress point. Just how the business is doing financially. Occasionally somebody will call me and say, don't tell my wife, blah, 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 about our finances. And I'm like, you're not in a good place. You got to talk to your wife about your things. And that's not our place as a bookkeeper, but also it comes up and that's life. So I think it's really cool that you're pretty open with the money things, it sounds like. And is she on all your accounts? Is that too personal of a question?
No, we have, she's a signer on my landscaping business account. I don't know if we had a time to make her a signer on the internet business, but I don't care. We have a joint account as well. So all the bills come out of the same place. And then I'm also in the process of setting up estate planning. So everything just goes to her automatically. And so I have a life insurance that goes to her. I mean, whatever.
It's so smart to just
it's all hers anyway. So I don't know.
That. Yeah.
I truly believe what's mine is hers and what's hers is mine.
And I think that's so much better for your mental health, right? Because it doesn't weigh on you. You're not hiding anything. Everybody knows everything. If you're in a great spot, you know that. And if you're not in a great spot, you can team up together, right?
My first mentor for my window cleaning business. So I had that. And then I had an entrepreneur friend who was more paranoid. He's like, don't tell your wife how much you're making because then she'll try to find a way to spend it. Like he was from that. Oh, no. That type of, right? So I didn't understand. Like if you make $1,000, you're probably only keeping 300. If you make 10,000, don't tell your wife you just made 10,000. If she doesn't understand profit and loss and all those things, then she might think, well, why are we living in this crappy 1-bedroom apartment where there's cockroaches over there? Because you're like, no, you don't understand. So it's like this. So I was so scared that I literally had like $3,000 of cash buried in the woods with some silver coins. And I was terrified that what if I I don't even want to say it's the D word, because I was so traumatized from coming from a broken family. I couldn't believe that my wife actually loved me for the rest of my life. There's got to be a trick here. So I told my window cleaning mentor, the guy who helped me kind of get started in window cleaning, he's the one who broke my brain and told me, that's a Joshua Latimer term, break your brain. He's like, stop trying to convince people to let them clean their windows. Go find people and market people who have affluent income, who live in upper middle class neighborhoods, who already spend money on cleaning people and pressure washing, and then go offer them your services, and you can go make $500 a house. Or he goes, I make $1,500 a day, and I went with him, and I was like, I'm like, prove it. So I went with him. We made $1,500 in a day, and this was like 10, 12 years ago or something. I was like, oh my God, it's real. And then I told him how I had some money buried in the woods. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, you don't want to hide money from your wife? And then I felt all ashamed of myself. I was like, but I'm scared. And so it's like, I was like, oh. So I just started telling my wife, I was just like, look, we have this much money in the bank. We have this much this much. Yeah. And she was still like, oh.
It seems like a lot until you know what it takes to keep the business running, right?
Huh. I'm the brokest. All my friends are millionaires and multi-millionaires. I'm the brokest friend that I have.
That is a good place to be. I always tell my kids, get around people who are going to elevate you. Right? Yes, they're going to challenge you. You're going to learn from them. You're going to, rise together. So that's cool.
Like instead of being a big fish in a small pond, if you can get around people who are hyper successful and have really high standards, then what that does is it's constantly pulling you up.
Right. And you can choose the morals and the values that you want with that too. So that's awesome. Do you have a mindset of like falling back into that poverty that you talk about growing up in? Does that come back to you in waves, or is it gone and you've broken past it, do you think?
There is one thing that I had to accept. This Alex Hormozy guy says, go out and build an undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are. And my friends, we grew up in the trailer park together. My friend Eric Reno, he's got a multi-million-dollar roofing business now. And we've talked about this. And he's like, even if everything was taken from you, the level of skill set and mindset and knowledge, as long as you have your mind and you can operate, there's nothing that can stop you from going out and hustling and building at least a six-figure service business again. If so, it's the fear is that the rug's going to get pulled and all of a sudden you're just going to lose everything and end up like living behind a dumpster or something. So it's like, I don't think I have that fear anymore. No.
Yeah, there's so much of that in business and just ownership, and when every problem is yours, it's easy to get scared of things. I think we run into that a lot for people who are not yet doing bookkeeping, and they'll say we don't like it, we don't want to know our number, like numbers aren't our thing, we don't like numbers. And I always challenge that. You like numbers, you don't like doing the legwork to put your numbers together, but you like to know what job made you the most money because you want to go do more jobs just like that one, right? You don't want to do the ones where you weren't making any money. So you just don't have the right tools to get that data so that it's functional for you. But there's always pushback on that because there's the fear of seeing the numbers and having to take a hard look at feedback that, you're not successful because of whatever spending. A really common one we see is when people are solo, they're spending so much money on personal stuff and eating out all the time. And the conversation is like, you got to stop going to Chick-fil-A every day. And then you'll give yourself really like a $15 or $30 an hour raise just by not spending money on that kind of stuff. That's a hard one. But once they start bringing on a crew, it's like, oh, if everybody does that, we're spending a lot more money.
The biggest expense that held back my landscaping business, even though my prices were low, well, we did landscaping and window cleaning. We still do, but I mean, in the beginning, I was so reluctant to make it a policy, hey, bring your own lunch, pack a lunch, or if you have to leave, go get something and come right back. Because I was stuck in these dead-end jobs where we were trapped on the job site in 100-degree weather, having to pack a lunch every day. And when I finally got my own business going, I was like, screw that. We're going out to lunch. So it's like we would leave the job site. We're talking these like multi-$1,000 landscape jobs who were there for several days, but we would leave and go to a diner, sit in traffic, sit in the diner, order food, go through the whole process. And what was supposed to be a 30, 45-minute lunch, by the time we got back to the job site and got working, would be like an hour and 15 minutes. And this was every single day. And then it became a habit. And then the guys who worked for me expected it. And then I felt guilty. It went through this whole process. And I started crunching the math. I'm like, dude, this is costing me like over $3,000 a month in extra money in my pocket. Like, that I could be making in profit by doing this. And I just had to be like, we're not doing this anymore. We're packing lunch. And I started staying on the job site. And now I take pride in, because I think it was Chris Lamrinides. I heard this story. It was on a podcast, the founder of Window Cleaning Resource. He had like a multi-million-dollar window cleaning business and he was packing lunch. And I was like, who has $1 million, multi-million-dollar business and they're not going out for steak? And it's like you become so aware of your costs that now it becomes gamified. It becomes fun to not spend money.
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, those fundamentals, no matter how big you are, those fundamentals matter so much in how your whole business runs. So I love that you talked a little bit about those jobs and how you weren't making any money on those. Can we talk about pricing a little bit?
Yeah.
Right now we have some clients. There's kind of two camps of clients, I feel like. And those are ones that are not struggling at all to get work. They have plenty. And then there's people who really just are having a hard time booking sales right now. Some of it I think is geographical. And some of it is I think the economy is tighter. I know you have in the in the episode I was listening to, you were talking about how you got to a place where you were really just feeling bent out of shape because you were working so hard and you felt like you should be able to raise prices and get the sale. And your clients didn't really seem like they cared about you. So if you tried to up a price, they would leave, and that didn't feel good. And I know at this time of the season where everybody, it's been long, right? They've worked hard. It's the hot time of the year for some of our clients, super hot. And they're just getting tired, working hard. And then if they're either not making the amount they want to make or booking the jobs, do you have some encouragement or some ideas?
Yeah. I mean, my first.
That's a lot, right? I just threw a lot at you.
You actually speak and articulate very clearly. So it's at least to me, it makes very much sense. I know one of my favorite sayings is "Get in where you fit in."
Yeah.
So what works for someone else might not work for you. You got a guy like a Patrick Clark from Sales Boost. He says like a 21-step sales process of all these checkpoints. Every single client gets communicated and all these things. I'm like, what? Nobody has the time for that. I was like, oh, you have dedicated sales guys and their whole job is just to take care of clients and close them at a high level and do follow-up. And so it's like, so depending on where you're at, what lens you're looking at it through, the quality of the information and the way to, you can apply it changes. So, and I've gone to like Contractor Sales Academy and I've read a lot of sales books and I've been obsessed with it, and it's led me into a lot of frustration. So I'm only qualified up to a certain point to share. But one thing I know for sure is, how can I say this concisely? How about this? Let's say there's a song, you hear it, it's just a song, but then for some reason it triggers you and it becomes your favorite song, and you listen to that song like every time it comes on or you play it, you love that song, and it becomes a whole world to you, and it affects you emotionally, and it means so much. And then one day you're just kind of over it, and then it just goes back to just being a song. It could be the same with a motivational taper. So it's like with clients and sales and all these things and the emotional baggage and hell that I've allowed myself to go through, where I cared about these clients so much and I thought they cared about me. And when I finally gained enough courage to raise the prices, these clients, my favorite clients, who just fired me over a small price raise, and I was heartbroken, and I started to hate my business, and I became vindictive, and then I became very transactional. All I cared about was, hey, how quick can I get in here and close the sale and make money so I can get the hell out of here? That backfired on me because now I wasn't being completely open and authentic with my clients, and it was this hellish road. So what I learned is you can be incredibly I was going to say clairvoyant. That's fine. Authentic and real and open, and communicate with your heart and really care and serve your clients at a high level and be completely transparent with them, while also hustling and having a timely schedule and having very healthy, strict boundaries. And so the policies in your business and the things that you set up, if you're somebody who is a people pleaser and you have a lot of holes in your personal boundaries, there's always going to be something or someone who can slip through that hole and pull you in narcissistically or something, or through a guilt trip or something that will make you keep buckling and going back like a dog to its own vomit. And then you're paying the price for all that.
That is a big illustration, the dog and the vomit.
If you can identify the holes in your personal boundaries and learn how to close those holes, and maybe you can install doors and keep the freaking door locked, you can now get discernment and identify through the customers. And if you suck at that, you can have an office manager or a salesperson qualify and close those clients and do it all for you. And you can just leave from the front, close all the work, and you'll make more money by just getting the hell away from doing sales with the clients. So it's like you have to figure out how to get to the point where I don't want to say who said this. You just don't give a F anymore. And so when you show up and you just don't care anymore, and you care about your client, but the price of the price, it's like it's this thing that comes through you. It's a conviction that's unshakable. But I think that comes also with having money in the bank and having if you have a full, like beggars can't be choosers. So if you have a full calendar and you understand marketing, advertising, you know how to keep your funnel full, and you know that you have plenty of work coming in, you have a full clientele, you have a stack of undeniable proof that says that you're a great contractor, and you know what the hell you're doing. If a customer can't, like my friend Steve is a multi-million-dollar landscape business. Anybody wants to Like they have to go through the website, go through the submission form, and they have to go the customers. Even if they want to
Yep.
spend 100 grand right now, sorry, they have to go through his sales process and get qualified in order and get on the schedule to get a quote in order to, or they just can't take care of that customer because they have a huge, like a train of things going on. I think it's something that comes with time that if I could, like, I coach a lot of newbie landscapers how to start and grow their business from 0 to 100K. My videos have helped start around 10,000 businesses. So I know what I'm talking about here. And I do one-on-one coaching calls on Mondays, and I talk to a lot of newbie startups. And this specifically, I'm triggered right now. I talk about this because if I could like just touch their forehead and make them go, oh, it's the
Yeah.
one thing that changes everything. And it all boils down to confidence. So, yeah, but if you don't have any money in the bank and you're broke and you're scared, you're going to keep buckling and doing stuff for a lower price because you feel like you need the money. So it's like when you're blind and you can't identify where the problem is, so at some point you have to trust somebody else to lead you to a place that you can't lead yourself. And usually that comes in the form of like a coach or a mentor or somebody who's been through the minefield and they can lead you. With that being said, if you just go and raise prices, that's why you should split test it. I'm talking a lot. I need to stop.
I love that you said that though, because I think as your business grows and as you're coaching with someone like you, or I don't know, Conquer, we have a lot of clients who use Conquer. It doesn't matter what your program is. If you can find a coach that resonates with you, that you're able to get hard feedback from, that's so key, right? Because so many people are going to tell you, yes, you're doing a great job. Everything is great, whatever, whatever. And you need the feedback to learn and do better. Otherwise, you're going to stay where you're at. Let's see. What was my list of? I wrote down a big list of takeaways from listening to you today. And what I really love about clients who are working with you or other coaching is they get to a place where they have an intentionality and an accountability for their business. So they're really like, they get that focus. They're working on those habits. They understand they have to know all the things about their own business. Kind of our catchphrase is like, we care an awful lot about your business, but nobody's going to care about it as much as you do. So you have to be on the hook for all these things in some way. Some of it can be delegated, right? We can do your bookkeeping, but you have to give us what we need to do the bookkeeping.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't get you those tools and the things that you need to be successful without it. So it's always really fun to work with clients that come from listening to you because we know they're trying to grow and trying to be better. And it's so cool to watch people scale their business. What's the high for you when you're coaching? What's your favorite thing to teach or talk about or mentor? Who should call you right now and say, I'm ready for a Keith Kalfas in my life?
The funny thing is I have this new offer. It's like I'm really fascinated by these guys have grown their business to a point where it's stable. And
Yep.
now they're starving. They have a message in their heart that they want to share with the world. They want to start a YouTube channel, a podcast. They want to start teaching others how to do what they've done. And they don't understand how to get in. They don't know if anybody would listen to them, or they don't know how to clearly get their message together in a concise way where people will listen. And so I'm really fascinated how I've built a 6-figure business just talking about how to start a landscaping business. I created like a niche, a sub niche. And then I've built an internet business that makes more money than my landscaping business, just talking about all of this stuff online. So I've attracted sponsorships and brand deals from companies, and the money sustains the message. So I like teaching people how to do that. And so that's some of the stuff we're putting together now. But as far as like the talking to service business owners who are trapped and trying to cross the 100K mark, I think it's it blows my mind. I was on a coaching call recently with somebody, and after like the first half hour, I was just like, something doesn't make any sense. We're talking back and forth, but something wasn't adding up. And then it occurred to me, they didn't even know the basics of marketing. They didn't even know the fundamentals of like the most basic stuff, maybe to me or somebody who's been in the business a while.
Yeah.
They just needed like just the basic building blocks of how to generate leads and how to close sales and how to understand like their service area and route density and how to make money. And I was like, oh, this is what we're dealing with. So I just broke it down really, really simple.
Yeah.
And we talked about it and they were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I got off the call and I looked at my wife and I'm like, I just told them the most simple stuff and they were blown away by it.
Yeah.
And it was like, so that's what makes me really, really happy.
I love getting to do that too. And just seeing clients understand, like they'll say to us often, you understand my language, like you know the words. So that's fun to just be able to come into their world, do some stuff, make things better, and then they have more time to do what they need to do. But cool. So let's see. The budget sheet that was on your website, is that still there? Can people go get that if they want to come grab it? I think it is.
Kalfas.com/budget.
Yeah.
Like a basic budget. It also has the actual chicken scratch of me creating a basic budget, and I took pictures and put it inside of a PDF. And then we have a whole free workbook that you get. If you go to keithkalfas.com/budget, it'll help you understand the clarity of, like, say it takes $833 per day to make one truck go operate in the field, and it breaks down all the cost.
Yeah, I love that because oftentimes that's not something that people have thought about. The other thing that I really liked about that, I was just looking at our Blue Skies has a budget that we also give away. Ours is a little bit fancier and more intense than yours. So I would absolutely start with yours if you haven't done one before. But I feel like this is such a great time of year to do it. I know a lot of people are like, wait till January. January is a perfect time. But right now is when people have some money to still put aside and think about things that are coming this winter. You could even get your winter fund going. But also you can go back into prior years, look at your data, start putting what actuals were if you have history in there, and just be prepared for these slower months before you run out of money. So I want to just send everybody over and make sure they knew about that because I thought it was so valuable.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Thank you.
So have you ever thought about the Christmas light space? I wanted to ask you about that. I know. Serial entrepreneurs are serial entrepreneurs. So have you thought about it? Because up in Michigan.
I did Christmas lights for 5 years.
And then what? It
The
wasn't for you?
Worst business ever. To
Oh,
me.
man.
So I had a friend who did Christmas lights, and I was like, "What, dude? I'm not doing this. This is my last year doing this." And we started talking about it. He's like, "Well, what do you charge?" And this and that. And I told him, he goes, "That's why you hate it." He's like, "We have a $2,500 minimum to do any Christmas lights job." And then he showed me, like, he just takes a picture of the house and takes his phone out and he'll take like the S Pen and he'll draw the roof line and he'll have like a color diagram and he'll usually, and he sends it to his guys and it makes perfect sense. I'm like, but where do you put the lights? What do you do? And I was like, I had no business model to go off of and I was radically undercharging. So I was outside for free in the middle of January on a ladder pulling Christmas lights out of frozen gutters.
And it's cold because where are you in Michigan?
Sterling Heights. It's freezing. We'll get like 8 inches of frozen snow with ice on top of it.
Yeah, I remember being at Lake Michigan with my husband one winter, and it was, frozen in the beautiful waves and the lighthouse. And I was like, oh, we're going to get great pictures. I'm from the Midwest. I'm used to my face hurting in the cold. I couldn't even, we didn't make it far from the car. I was not tough enough to go get pictures, but
maybe it was like a chill advisory. It does get really, really cold in February in Michigan.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. So your next adventure, do you have other serial entrepreneur plans? Maybe not yet.
No, plenty. I'm obsessed. I'm crazy. I have 22 different streams of income coming in, and they're all generating peanuts, except for 3 of them are generating. It's like, so 21 of them are generating peanuts. So I've had to reassess and realize that it's called diversification out of desperation. That's what I've labeled it. So those old scarcity mindset is like, I keep spinning more and more. I kept spinning more and more tops because I was afraid that the rug would get pulled. So I keep trying to open up all these different avenues of income. Like if you go into my Robinhood, instead of having like just Tesla, Apple, and S&P 500, I have like I have like
Got
45
everything.
different things I'm investing in. Same with cryptos. I joined this crypto group and I have like 30 different cryptos. It's just it's absolutely not the path to become a multimillionaire. It's ridiculous.
Well, to be fair, it is an election year, so people are up in the air about what could happen, right? Well, can I hit you up to just talk a little bit about Blue Skies? Jason takes care of you. Would you just share about your experience with us?
Yeah.
Is it good? Is it helpful? Is there anything you wish I was doing differently? Or Jason was doing differently?
So, well, first of all, it's like, wait, I'm going to give somebody access to my bank account and all my transactions. And what if they steal money from me? What if my bank account gets hijacked and they drain it to zero? What if, I mean, who knows? You don't know if it's your first time hiring a bookkeeper. Also, there's a huge insecurity because it might expose that you're broke, or the bookkeeper is going to see that you went out and got steak dinner and he might be shaming you. There's these weird thoughts that could come up.
Yeah.
So Jason, can I say his last name?
You can say his last name.
Okay, so Jason Simpson is takes care of my books, and so I've been using Voxer app for years. We talk on Voxer once a week.
All the cool kids use Voxer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he's incredibly knowledgeable and articulate, and within 15 minutes of talking to him, I just know that he's just totally legit. I don't know what the word is. Mathematical, analytical bookkeeper type of guy. If there's ever any problems with my book, or not a problem, if there's a question he has about a transaction that needs to be categorized because it's something crazy, he's like, "Yo, what's this $2,500 transaction for?" I don't, I'm like, "Oh, I invested in this this internet marketing course of how to make my internet better." He'd be like, "Okay, cool, you're all set for the week." Yep. Or I'll be like, so if I need help with something, I can set up a call with them and like kind of go through the numbers. If my accountant needs something on the balance sheet, or we need a deeper look at what the numbers are at the end of the year, and my accountant, so I could tell you why I went with Blue Skies, like why I hired a bookkeeper.
Yeah, do tell me all the things.
So when I started an internet business and I started having all these different 1099s come in from like YouTube and affiliate marketing and online sales and public speaking, and I have all these different stuff, I would just give it all to my accountant and he'd be like, "Okay." So it's like I would finalize my taxes, and then my accountant would be like, I mean, I go to an actual professional accounting firm, and they literally had to spend like all day on a Sunday just getting all my my books and numbers finalized to process my taxes and charge me a boatload of money to do it.
Yep.
I was like, man, I got to get this fixed. I feel embarrassed. So I kept trying to do my own QuickBooks by myself, and it kept flopping because I was too busy running my service business. So I was like, I don't know how to get this handled. I felt ashamed of myself because I was this guy on YouTube talking about how to run a successful landscaping business, yet my own books look like a typhoon hit it. It just looked like it was a mess.
So common. Hear it all the time. I'm embarrassed about my books. And we always say, don't be, just bring it. We sometimes burn them down and start over, and that's fine.
Yeah. So I actually I think I paid a little bit extra because I wanted to go back 2 full years and get everything reconciled. And so then, I was like, I went and looked in the mirror. I was like, man, this is going to cost me a little bit of money, but I'm a person who prides myself on being financially literate and on having impeccable finances. And why aren't my books organized? So, but you're going to pay somebody money each month just to make sure. I'm like, it's going to save me money. It's going to make me money. Having a bookkeeper. Robert Kiyosaki said, if he had to start over from scratch, when the number one hire he would make would be a bookkeeper. I'm like, what? So I've read this in the books. So I don't think he would lie. Why would he lie about something like that? So when all the books got reconciled and everything is all perfect, and I finally got my first profit and loss statement. And
Yep.
then for the landscaping, then the media business, I was like, oh my God. I could see every penny in, every penny out, the cost, the goods sold, the overhead, all the things, the transaction month by month. And now every month I look forward to my Jason sends a P&L statement every single month. And I wait for it every single. I'm like, when's it gonna come? When's it gonna come? Every 24 hours, I'm checking my email, and finally, when it comes, like we were at the movies on date night, and finally it showed up. I was, oh, there. I zoom in immediately on the amounts, and I'm looking, and I'm like, oh, we made 37,000 last month. Wait, what was the cost of goods sold? What was this? Oh, Dad, boy, and I was like,
Nice.
and then I'll like show my wife, and she's like, never mind. So it's all makes you money.
I love that. Operationally, could you give me an example? This is really putting you on the spot. Is there anything you've ever caught on there where you're like, whoa, we need to make a change because I saw something on these numbers? Because you're getting a monthly now instead of once at the end of the year, or maybe even after the year's done. Do you do like a third quarter tax planning meeting with your CPA and say like, hey, check me out where I am right now? Do I need to buy some stuff or spend money?
Every year. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
everything
cool.
just seems very smooth. So I'm hyper vigilant about paying quarterlies and and make sure we pay the payroll tax and all that stuff. Every single time I pay bills to the Fed and state or unemployment stuff, I lay it out on the table. I'm taking pictures assigned to its own Google Drive folder, and I tag my accountant on stuff so the accountant can see everything. It's like so I don't have much. If there is something, we catch it quickly. Like I think I caught a missing $10,000 the year before last year. Something wasn't adding up because I go through my books myself after Jason and my accountant, and I go through it all to make sure it all adds up myself. Like, and I caught $10,000, and it was actually my fault because I didn't. So I contacted Jason. I'm like, "Whoa, there's a missing $10,000. I didn't let you know about this or whatever." And then he fixed it, and I sent it back to the accountant, and then it was all set. And yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that. I always think there's a little bit of mystery around what people are exactly signing up for when they come to services with us if they haven't had bookkeeping before. So I love that you were open about sharing that it is a little bit scary to give your bank account away. And you don't, right? We have a read-only access. Sometimes we just get statements if we can't get a read-only. Got all the cyber insurance and all the things. So we keep you really safe and don't outsource. But anyways, I just will thank you for your time. And it was really cool to chat with you and meet you. And
you breezed over a very important objection that somebody might have.
Oh, yeah.
You said read-only access. What is that?
Oh, yeah. Read-only access. So read-only access is just being able to view and see everything that's happening in your bank account. Depending on where you bank, we may or may not be able to get that access. It's super easy if you're Chase. Bank of America is a little trickier, but it's usually just some permissions in your account that you'll set up for us. And for all the major banks, we have a little cheat sheet we can send you of exactly how to do it. So we can see check images. We can go grab a statement. And what that means is we're not bothering you for that data because we know you're busy and we are trying to get stuff off your plate instead of give you more chores of items we need.
There might be some people who would listen to everything you said and they still don't get it.
Yeah.
They can't make any transactions. They can just view the
We
data.
cannot steal any money. We're not taking any money. We couldn't take it if we wanted to. If you have $1 million, we can't take one. So also we're honest and we wouldn't anyways, but there's that extra safety there. That's a good point. Thanks for sharing that. For bringing it up. I'm so used to saying it. But yeah, that's our jam. We love taking care of anybody in the home service space and people who are outside it more and more all the time. So keep sending them our way and we really appreciate you.
Perfect. Thank you. And thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, my podcast is the Untrapped
podcast.
If anybody wants to go there.
And it's a great podcast. Even if you're not into home services, I feel like there's stuff you can take away for anything.
I'm muted. Rookie
hey,
mistake.
Kevin.
I'm here. I was in the background the whole time. I just want to hop on and wrap up. before I end up. There was so much gold in there, and I'm not a bookkeeper. Keith, I don't know how much he knows about what I do. I'm just behind the scenes and kind of run things, but like I can see why people pay you for your advice and for your expertise, because you're that guy that like knows your stuff, but also has experienced it and lived it and like walked through it. And so that's such a valuable thing to have. And anyway, I personally took away so much from it. So I just wanted to hop on and say thank you myself too, because I was like, this is good stuff. Like, I don't know. Let's see how many people it reaches, but it was such good stuff. So I appreciate you being on. And
Kevin's been talking about starting a pressure washing business on the side. So he's probably just listening to all your content all the time right now.
The truth is, my wife just wants me to start a pressure washing business.
Oh, you go do it like every day. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Oh, I had one more question for you, Keith. Do you know Spencer from SB Mowing? My kids wanted me to ask that because they love watching.
Yeah, I got his number right here.
Really? Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's kind of cool. We'll send it over. I'll have to see if I can get him on the show. My kids would probably think that's cool. They're into that and car detailing videos. That's fantastic.
Get mad at me.
Oh, come on. Just ask. Ask him a favor. Also, he probably needs a bookkeeper, so you'd be doing him a favor.
He doesn't need a bookkeeper. So I should text him, yo, do you have a bookkeeper? And I could just text him the link.
That would be great. Thank you so much. All right. Have a good evening, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Later.